Hey all, here at OS Reviews. You're watching our video review of the Mobvoi TicWatch GTH. The TicWatch series have been successful for a number of years now, and historically they've all ran on Android and been more premium devices, such as the TicWatch Pro, which runs on Android Wear, has a dual display technology to it, but it's also definitely a chunky smartwatch. And that really is a contrast to the new GTH that doesn't have quite as many advanced features built on in, but also comes at a much lower sub $80 price tag. And they're calling this a health partner on your wrist, which is fitting because it's essentially a larger fitness tracker in many ways. It does have quite a lot of sensors though, including the ability to track SpO2, blood oxygen level. There is also a skin temperature sensor, heart rate monitoring, which is pretty typical, sleep tracking, and it has a 1.55-inch display, which is IPS LCD. And it even has auto workout detection, so if you started to move, it will try to open that up and begin to track a session for you, which is neat. However, it is worth noting that this watch does not have built-in GPS. It has a 5 ATM water resistance rating, which is quite good. You can take this with you when swimming or showering and it will still survive, and battery life is rated to last up to 10 days before you need to recharge it again, which is also much longer compared to the usual Android Wear or Apple Watch, but again, this is a more light, real-time operating system. So as far as the packaging contents are concerned, it is going to be pretty simple and straightforward. We have just the watch itself with a silicone band strap that can be also customized, along with a quick start guide and a charging cable, which is also magnetic, so it attaches pretty easily onto just the back of the watch like that. Now, as far as the construction quality and design of the smartwatch is concerned, the entire frame of the watch is actually still made out of aluminum that wraps all the way around. As you can see there are no seams, which is impressive because all of the other kind of budget smartwatches we've seen, like competitors such as the Amazfit Bip or let's say the Halo LS02, these are all, although similar looking, are all made out of plastic in terms of the construction, as you can see there, versus all metal on this, which does feel more solid to the touch. Buckles on the straps are also made out of stainless steel, as you can see there, so pretty solid parts. Of course, the bezels on this smartwatch are not invisible, but at the very least the top and bottom sections are for the most part symmetrical. At first, I was worried that I would be distracted by the design. I thought the screen can definitely be a little bit larger to stretch to the full sides, but over time I actually grew to appreciate it. It gives it a more retro style, especially with the rounded corners, and overall it just feels very cute. Almost reminds me of a Pebble smartwatch, which is not a bad thing. It overall still looks quite good. Display quality is also very good for a IPS LCD display. Viewing angles are really excellent, along with brightness is still visible even if you're pointing it at a bit more of light or sun. The edge houses just a single crown key, which is also made out of metal, and it's very tactile and easy to click on. Again, the straps themselves can be removed. We have just the charging contacts along with the array of sensors for the heart rate, the SpO2, and also the skin temperature, or the body temperature is this little metal contact there. Taking a closer look at the watch's user interface, so to begin with, we can swipe down to access the shortcuts, which allow us to enter a do not disturb mode, a ultra battery saving mode, vibration mode. There is also a flashlight that turns the entire display white, so you can illuminate some objects in the dark. There's also the ability to change the screen brightness. Now we can also swipe up to access the list of notifications, so this will be your text messages, social media messages that are pushed over when connected using Bluetooth to your phone. You aren't able to reply to those messages, but you can still see their status. I can swipe over in the carousel list to go through all the quick widgets, including a page dedicated for weather information, which is pretty neat, and it will store information up to 7 days after syncing. Next page over tells you your current heart rate as well as the high versus low heart rate count for the past 24 hours, and there's also a map down below there. And I can also swipe over again to take a look at my respiration rate, current skin temperature, and the current SpO2 blood oxygen level can all be monitored and seen. And then swiping over again takes me into sports. Once more, takes a look at the sleep from the past night, so hours you've slept, as well as a gauge of seeing if it's very good or poor, depending on how restless you were at night and how long you've been sleeping. And you can also take a look at some more detailed stats as well, such as time spent that was awake versus in deep versus light sleep, which is pretty useful. Now, I will point out here that the sleep tracking only works at night, so this will only work between the hours of, say, 8 p.m. at night until when you wake up. It's also interesting because this information is only going to show show until about 6 p.m. per day. So after you go past 6 p.m., it will automatically refresh itself, and you'll see in a moment later in this video how the information here will go away. Once over again, takes a look at the quick stats for the day in terms of number of steps you've walked, as well as calories burned and distance converted into miles. And these are interactive elements, so the dial here will also turn completely blue if you've reached your daily goal that you can set for yourself in the companion app. And otherwise, it just goes back and loops into the main home screen. So pretty simple, and overall fluidity of the UI seems decent. There is a bit of kind of kinetic scrolling, and it kind of gives you an animation telling you there's no more if you've hit the end of a list. Now in this page, by the way, in terms of skin temperature, SpO2 blood oxygen, and respiration rate, you're also able to tap inside and it will do an instant remeasurement. Same thing goes with the blood oxygen level. It will also tell you what is a healthy range, and it'll give you a measurement there. A lot of the other smartwatches that have these additional sensors like blood oxygen level and skin temperature are usually only done if you physically enter that application and it will take a measurement holding still. But on this watch, it seems to do this kind of sporadically during the day, so it will automatically track it at least once an hour. And then in terms of the sports activities, as aforementioned, you do have kind of the standard ones that you find on most smartwatches and fitness trackers these days, including running, outdoor cycling. There's also jump rope, swimming, walking, rowing, freestyle, mountain climbing, gymnastics, soccer, basketball, cycling, and yoga. So we have now surpassed 6 p.m. as you can see there, so the sleep data has now been wiped and we can't see it from the watch's widget anymore. One of the final things to note here is you want to change the watch face or watch dial. You're also able to long press on this face here, just like most smartwatches, and cycle through them. It comes with around 4 of these options preloaded, and then kind of the 5th one that you can customize by downloading additional ones from their companion app, and they give you quite a lot of free options that you can consider. And here's another analog option that looks a bit more classy and elegant. If you're trying to maybe dress a bit more business professional, you can look into this one. And then here is a digital one with a oversized clock, a little reminiscent of a design from Apple watches. Now, if we talk about the accuracy of the watch here in terms of calories and number of steps, the pedometer for the most part I would say is good. The number of steps that it tracked is comparable to the Amazfit smartwatches. So if I walked 100 steps, this one would be pretty much right on the money. So fairly good in terms of step counting. I didn't find it to really undercount my steps, nor did it really overcount if I was shaking it. The heart rate measurement is also very accurate. This part has been quite consistent on most smartwatches we've seen for a while now, so no complaints again, pretty much hitting the average that I also saw when comparing it with some other Amazfit smartwatches earlier. And then skin temperature is a rough approximation. It's not quite as medical grade compared to a infrared sensor, for example, but as long as you're wearing it and you're in a environment where the air temperature isn't fluctuating too wildly, it should still give you a good idea of if you have a fever or not. The same goes with the blood oxygen monitoring. So you saw here in our testing that it also does the test automatically, but it works even better if you're sitting still. Now we can also tap on the crown key once to bring up the full list of other applications that you can check out, including going into exercise, sleep tracking, health tracking at a quick glance. So under your Tic Health, you have access to your pulse measurement, which is your heart rate basically, the respiration rate. So all of this info we could see from before, but you can also access them individually. Basic functions on here also include a timer, so you can count down 15, 30, 60, or a custom duration of time. And you can also take a look at a basic stopwatch, as well as the weather widget can all be accessed individually, as you can see there. And other things include a music control, so it will act as a remote for what music is playing back on your phone. Now, one gesture that it doesn't seem to support is covering up the screen to turn the display off. So it can only turn off the screen by itself after a few seconds of inactivity. The companion app, Mobvoi, is the same one used to connect to their other smartwatches and also TWS wireless headphones that we've seen in the past. It usually syncs and pairs information over very fast, and you're also able to look at more details, including the number of steps, calories burned, and distance walked from the past day. You're also able to take a look at your resting skin temperature as well, the maximum that it's recorded, things like blood oxygen. You can also tap to learn more information there, and this will also track the different points in time that it's done in measurement. for a particular day. Same thing goes here with skin temperature. You can also track that, the highs versus the lows and your average. If there's any abnormal records like a fever, it will also record that time as well as date. And then in terms of sleep, you can also see again the previous night's sleep that's been shared over here, and it will tell you if you've gone to sleep later than you should. And you're also able to look at the stages in more detail here than you could see on the watch itself. So I do like the fact that you can at least see the hours that you've slept on the watch, but again, you have more granular detail from the phone app, which makes sense, and overall optimization is done quite well. And it even tracks your blood oxygen during sleep, which is more detailed than again some of the other smartwatches we've seen in the past. So you can definitely get some more measurements, as well as even heart rate is tracked at night as well. We can also go back to the previous night, for example, and also see how we compare there. And as far as other settings that you can turn on include automatic heart rate and blood oxygen measurement. You can turn these off if you want to conserve on battery. You don't want it to keep on tracking you. And there's also the tilt to wake function. So right now this is activated. It means that whenever you flick the watch face up, the screen here will automatically light up. Since it is an IPS LCD screen though, there is no always on display mode. And you're also able to set up alarm clocks directly from the watch app over here. So you can tell it to kind of vibrate to basically wake you up in the morning or remind you to do something. But you have to set up the alarms from the companion app. There is no option to turn it on directly from the watch. Under watch face setting, this is basically where you're able to download more companion dials to push over and customize the look of the watch. And it has quite a large variety of options which are unique. Again, here is a closer look at some of those just scrolling down, some of them which are more cute and cartoony, other ones which are just a bit more professional looking depending on what vibe you're trying to go for, others which show a bit more info via these dials, and gives you quite a good selection, I'd say. There's also a customized watch face option where you're able to change and apply your own photo as the background image, and you can even change elements like the color for the text as well. This can all be tweaked, as well as the size, so it gives you the ability to create your own watch faces if you desire. So that's more or less it as far as our hands-on review of the TicWatch GTH. And I have to say that I like this watch more than I was expecting just by looking at the design alone, but I do appreciate some of the smaller details after using it for a while, including the really solid construction quality that's all metal, the excellent battery life, as well as for the most part solid accuracy when it comes to the essentials like heart rate, as well as number of steps. And I do think that the price, even though it's already budget for what Mobvoi watches usually sell for compared to other TicWatches, is still a little bit high compared to some of the competition. If they were able to sell this MRSP at maybe $60, I think it would be even more competitive, considering a few of the hardware omissions. But if you're looking for a smartwatch that overall remains affordable, has a great array of sensors for fitness and health tracking on the go, does it very discreetly, and also looks quite clean, I think this is definitely worth a closer look, and also shows that you really don't have to spend an arm or a leg anymore to get a solid everyday smartwatch, as long as you aren't expecting it to be the most advanced in terms of running a lot of custom apps. So overall, it gets all the essentials in a package that's lightweight and again relatively low priced. So thanks for watching here at OS Reviews. It's been our closer look at the TicWatch GTH.